It's time for Silicon Valley to pay up. $415 million later, a settlement will be paid to employees of Apple, Google, Intel, and others. The reason? Plaintiffs say large tech companies conspired to work together to keep wages down. Joseph Saveri is with me now. He is one of the lead attorneys for the plaintiffs. So, Joseph, was this essentially an agreement between these firms not to compete for talent?
That's correct. Basically, the facts show that these companies, in particular the CEOs of the companies, entered into agreements that they wouldn't poach or recruit each other's employees over a number of years.
And you say that essentially Steve Jobs from Apple was the ringleader?
Mr. Jobs wasn't necessarily the ringleader, but he was integrally involved in the formation of the agreements, their perpetuation over time, and policing them and enforcing them, along with others.
Did they have employment contracts? That is to say, star performers, and by that I mean programmers, coders. Did they actually have employment contracts, or were these all at-will employees?
It was a combination. There were certainly some employees that had written agreements of some type. Some others did not.
All right. Now, the lawsuit took 4 years, so I'm assuming there were a few twists in the road. What was the hardest thing for you as a representative of the plaintiffs?
The hardest thing first was to discover the agreement and to really figure out what the scope of the problem that we're dealing with is. These kinds of agreements aren't made in the open. We have to do a lot of work to identify them and to shine a light on them. And then the other part that was difficult was to be able to show that these agreements, which we could prove, had a broad impact across the over 50,000 people who were members of the class.
So, Joseph, with all the companies that we've been talking about, was there a worst offender, or were they all kind of the same?
I'd say they were all about the same.
Now, you didn't get,
certainly there were some of the companies that were larger. We had companies like Lucasfilm and Pixar that were relatively small companies, and Apple's a much bigger company. Google's a much bigger company.
So the bigger they were, the more power they had, which I guess is not that surprising. But as far as the award, the settlement award, $415 million, that's actually less than what you were going for. Are you pleased with the result?
Right. Yes, I think we're pleased in a number of ways. First of all, this is a record settlement of a case of this type. There's really been no other case in history where so much money has been obtained for people that were affected. Second, I think what's also important about this case is it shines a light on these types of practices. Not only does this lawsuit hopefully prevent these types of agreements among the companies that were involved here, but also shines a light on these practices more generally. And to the extent other companies have them in place, they should be stopped. To the extent there are other companies who are contemplating these sorts of agreements, this should be a warning to them that they should think twice about that.
Okay.
So the impact of the case isn't just about the money that we got for the people that were affected, but hopefully to prevent this kind of behavior in the future.
It's a line in the sand. Joseph Saveri, thank you so much, co-lead attorney for the plaintiffs.